Hello guys, welcome to Ionis Academy. In today's class, we are going to be talking about inverse variation. In our previous class, we talked about direct variation, but today's tutorial, we are going to be talking about indirect variation or inverse variation. Now, what is inverse variation? This is a type of variation where the variables changes disproportionately. That is, when one variable increases, the other variable decreases. For an instance, if we have a variable, if our x increases, our y is expected to decrease. Now, for instance, we have our x, it increases by a given factor, then our y is expected to what? Decrease. Let's take for an instance, our x is equal to 2, then our y is expected to be what? 1. Now, if y and x are in inverse variation, for an instance, y and x are inverse variation, it is written as y is in inverse variation with 1 over what? X. Then our y is equal to what? K over what? X, where k is a non-zero constant. Now let's start by solving some examples for you to really understand what inverse variation is all about. Now example 1 says that if k varies inversely as v square and k is equal to 7 over 3 when v is equal to 3, find a an equation connecting k and v, b the value of k when v is equal to 7. Now let's express ourselves mathematically. We know that our k varies inversely as our v square. Now let's eliminate this variation sign here and replace it with equality sign. By doing that, we're going to introduce a constant. Now we're making use of c. In our previous tutorial, we're making use of k, but in this question it's what? Another letter. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be using c as my constant. Therefore, the equation now becomes k is equal to c all over what? V what? Square. Now what are we going to do? We're going to make c the set of formula. By doing that, we're going to cross multiply. So we have our k all over 1 is equal to c all over what? V square. So when we cross multiply, our c will now be equal to what? Kv square. Now from the question, it says that when k is equal to 7 over 3, v is equal to what? 3. Now when we slot it inside this equation, we're going to be having our c is equal to 7 over what? 7 over 3 times what? 3 squared. Now 3 squared will give us 9. Therefore we have it as c is equal to what? 7 over 3 times what? Times 9. 3 here 1, 3 in 9 will give you 3. Now 7 times 3 will give you what? 21. Therefore we have it as c is equal to what? 21. Now this is for our question A. Says we should find an equation connecting k and v. Now what do? We're going to slot the value of our c into this equation here. Thereby our k now will now be equal to what? 21 all over what? V squared. Now let's go to this is the equation connecting k and v. Now let's go to part b of the question. Part b of the question says that we should find the value of k when v is equal to 7. Now how do we find the value of k when v is equal to 7? You recall that our equation connecting k and v is k is equal to 21 over what? Over v squared. Now to find the value of k when v is equal to 7, what are we going to do? We are going to substitute the value of v is equal to 7 in this equation. Now let's go. Now we know that our k will now be equal to 21 all over 7 squared. Now 7 squared is what? 49. Therefore we know that our k becomes 21 all over 49. Now 7 here 3, 7 here 7. Therefore the value of k, our k will now be equal to 3 over 7. That is the value of k when v is equal to 7. Example 2 says that if y varies inversely as square root of x and y is equal to 78 when x is equal to 36, find a an equation connecting x and y, b the value of y when x is equal to 1 over 64. Now let's express the question mathematically, we have it that y varies as square root of what? X. Now, what do? We are going to introduce a constant, and by doing that, we present our constant with letter k. Therefore, we have it as y is equal to k over what? Square root of what? X. Now, what are we going to do here? We are going to make k the sort of formula, thereby we will cross multiply. So we have it as k will now be equal to what? Y square root of what? X. Now, from the question, it says that when y is equal to what? 78, x is equal to what? 36. We are going to plug it in this equation, and when we do that, we have our k will now be equal to 78 times square root of 36. Now, square root of 36 will give us 6. Therefore, we have our k is equal to 78 times 6. 78 times 6 will give you 468. So, give you 468. So, we have our k will give us 468. Therefore, going back to our question A, which says that we should find the equation connecting x and y. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to pick the value of our k and slot it in this equation here. Therefore, by doing that, we have our y is equal to what? 468 all over square root of x. Now, this is the equation connecting x and y. Now, let's go to the b part of the equation. The b part of the equation says that we should find the value of y when x is equal to 1 over 64. Now, how do we find the value of y when s is 1 over 64? Now, this is going to be a little bit technical because of the fraction here, but since we know that the equation connecting x and y is given as y is equal to 468 all over square root of x, we are going to be making use of this equation here. Therefore, we have it as our y be equal to 468 all over our x is 1 over 64. We have it as square root 1 over 64. We're going to take care of this square root here now. According to the law of surd, we have it as y is equal to 468 all over square root 1 all over square root 64. Now, the square root of 1 will give us 1, and square root of 64 will give us 8. Therefore, we have it as y is equal to 468 all over 1 over 8. Mathematically, we have it as 468 all over 1 times 8 all over 1. Now, what do? We are going to multiply 468 times 8, which will give us y is equal to 3,744. 3,744. So this is the value of y when s is equal to 1 over 64. Our example 3 says if open bracket w minus 2 close bracket varies inversely as s cube and w is equal to 5 over 2 when s is equal to 4, find a an equation connecting x and w. B, the value of w when s is equal to 1 over 2. Now, what are we going to do here? First of all, we are going to start by expressing the equation mathematically. Therefore, we have it as w minus 2 varies inversely 1 over s cube. Now, what are we going to do here? We are going to change this our variation sign to equation sign by introducing a constant. Therefore, we have it as w minus 2 is equal to k over s cube. Now, what we're going to do here is that we're going to make k the sort of formula. Now, how do you make k the sort of formula? We're going to do that by cross multiplying. Now, we have it as k is equal to s cube open bracket w minus 2. Now, from the question given, we know that our w is equal to 5 over 2 and our s is equal to 4. Therefore, we have it as k is equal to 4 cube open bracket w is 5 over 2, 5 over 2 minus 2. Now, we'll first take care of this bracket. Now, if we have 5 over 2 minus 2, what will 5 over 2 minus 2 give us? I believe by now you should be able to solve anything relating to a fraction. Therefore, 5 over 2 minus 2 is going to give us 1 over 2. And 4 cube is going to give us 64. Therefore, we have our k to be 64 times 1 over 2. Now, what do we do? 2 here, 1. 2 in 64 will give us 32. Therefore, we have it as our k will now be equal to 32. Now, our equation says that we should find an equation connecting x and w. Therefore, an equation connecting x and w from this relation here. From this relation here, we have it as w minus 2 is equal to our k is 32. 32 all over s cube. Now, this is an equation connecting x and w. This is an equation connecting x and w. Now, let's go to the b part of the question. The b part of the question says that we should find the value of w when s is equal to 1 over 2. Now, how do we go about it? It simply says that we should find the value of w when s is equal to 1 over 2. When s is equal to 1 over 2, actually from the question, we are given that our x here is cube. Now, what we are going to do is that we are going to look for x. We are going to look for w when s is equal to 1 over 2. Now, let's substitute the value of x, which is equal to 1 over 2, in this equation here. Therefore, from this relation, we have it as our w minus 2 is equal to 32 all over x. This is s cube. So we have it as open bracket 1 over 2 close bracket cube. Now, from our law of indices, we know that anything in the form of this 1 over 2 or 1 over anything raised to the power of 3 is same thing as 1 over 1 cube all over 2 cube. Now, let's go back to the question. Going back to the question, so we have the equation to be in this form. W minus 2 is equal to 32 all over 1 all over 2 cube. Now, what is 2 cube? From our knowledge of indices, we know that our 2 cube is what? 2 times 2 times 2. Therefore, from the equation, we have it as our w will now be equal to w minus 2 is equal to 32 all over 1 over what? 8. Now, from our knowledge of mathematics, we have it as 32 all over 1 times what? Times 8 all over 1. Now, what is 32 times 8? 8. Now, our 32 times 8 is going to give us w minus 2 will give us 256. 256. So what are we going to have here? We are going to move this minus 2 to this side. How do we go about it? So, and when we do that, our negative sign here will turn to positive. So we have our w is equal to 256 plus what? 2. Our w now will now be equal to 258. So this is the value of w when s is equal to 1 over 2. Now let's go to our example 4. Our example 4 says that it is given that y varies inversely as s squared. If x is decreased by 50%, find the percentage change in y. Now, this question is similar to, I think, example 3 or example 4 in direct variation. Now, how are we going to go about this question? First of all, we are going to start by expressing the question mathematically. And we know that mathematically, our y varies inversely as s squared. Now, we have it as our y varies inversely as S square. What are we going to do here? We are going to eliminate this variation sign, and how to eliminate it is by introducing our constant, which is k. Therefore, we have it as our y is equal to k all over what? S square. Now, we are going to call this our equation 1. Now, we are going to say that let the initial value of x be x naught. Let initial value of x be x naught, and let initial value of y be y naught. Now, we can add from the statement above, we can have it as our y naught will be equal to k all over x naught square. Let's call this our equation 2. Now, from the statement that s is decreased by 50%, we know that from our previous knowledge that if s is increased by 50%, that is plus, and if it is decreased by 50%, it is what? Minus. So we have it as, when s is decreased by 50%, we have it as our x is equal to the initial value, which is our x naught minus 50%, that is 50 all over what? 100 times the initial value. Here now, 50 over 100 is going to give us 0.5. So we have it our x is equal to x naught minus 0.5 x naught. Now x naught minus 0.5 x naught is going to give us 0.5 x naught. So which is equal to 1 over 2 x naught. So we have it as our x is equal to 1 over 2 x naught. Now what we are going to do here is that we are going to plot this equation here in our equation 1. And how do we go about it? So our equation 1 will therefore become y is equal to k all over 1 over 2 x naught all squared. Now, what are we going to do here now? We are going to simplify this. So our y is equal to k all over 1 over 4 x naught square. Now, what are we going to do here? We are going to further simplify it, which gives us k all over x naught square all over 4. What are we going to do here? Further simplify it as k all over 1 times 4 all over x naught square, which gives us 4k all over x naught square. Now we can write it as our y is equal to 4 open brackets k all over x naught square close bracket. Now let's call this our equation 3. Now if you check equation 3 and equation 2, they are kind of similar. Therefore, if you substitute equation 3 in equation, if you substitute equation 2 in equation 3, equation 3 will therefore become y is equal to 4 y naught. Now this is the new value of what? Of our y. Therefore, they ask us to find the percentage change in y. What we are going to do, we are going to make use of our percentage change formula. Know that percentage change in y is equal to our new value minus our initial value all over our initial value times 100 over 1. Now our new value is 4y. So our percentage change in y is equal to 4y naught, minus our initial value is y naught all over y naught times 100 over what? 1. Now we're going to factorize this. So we have it as y 4 minus 1 close bracket of y naught all over y naught times 100 all over 1. So y naught cancels y naught. So we have it as 4 minus 1 is going to give us 3, and 3 times 100 is going to give us 300. Therefore, we have it as percentage change in y is going to give us 300 percentage or 300%. So that is our final answer when x is decreased by 50%. Now, our example 5 says that for a prism of a given volume, the height of the prism varies inversely as the base area. Full stop. The height of the prism is 45 centimeter when the base area is 2 centimeter cube. What is the height of the prism when the base area is 9 centimeter cube? Now, what are we going to do? We are going to first of all represent the height, the variables with alphabets. Therefore, let's represent our height with H, and let's present our area with A. Now, let's express the question mathematically. We know that our H varies inversely as our area, which is A. Now, what are we going to do here? We're going to introduce our constant. Now, how do we introduce our constant? We're going to introduce our constant by which eliminates this variation sign. Now, we have it as our H is equal to K all over A. Now, what are we going to do here? We're going to make K the sort of formula. Therefore, we have our K is equal to HA. Our HA from the question is given that our H, which is the height, is 45. Our H is 45 when the base area is 2 centimeter cube. So we have our K now will now be equal to 45 times 2, which gives us 90. Now, if we are to slot the value of K in this equation, we are going to be having our H is equal to 90 all over A. Now, this is the equation now relating H and A, but in the question we are not told to find the equation relating H and A, but ideally you have to find the equation relating H and A in order for you to solve the B part of the question. Now, in the B part of the question says that we should find the height of the prism when the area is 9 centimeter square. Now, the height of the prism is now therefore given as H, which is the height, is equal to 90 all over our A here now is 9 centimeter square, 90 over 9. Therefore, our H now will now be equal to 10. So the height of the prism when the area is 2 centimeter square is going to give us 10 centimeter. Now let's go to example 6. Our example 6 says that if y square varies inversely as open bracket x plus a close bracket and y is equal to 5 when x is equal to 6, y is equal to 10 when x is equal to 0, find a, the value of a, b, the relation between x and y, c, the value of x when y is equal to 4. Now this question is a little bit technical, but it's similar to what we have done before in direct variation. Now we're going to start this question by expressing the question mathematically. Now we know that our y square varies inversely as x plus a. Therefore, what we're going to do next, we're going to introduce our constant. Therefore, we have it as our y square is equal to 1 over k, k all over x plus a. Now, from the question, we are going to make k the sort of formula. Therefore, we have it as y square all over 1 is equal to k all over x plus a. We cross multiply, so we have k is equal to y square open bracket x plus a close bracket. So now from the question we have that y is equal to 5 when s is equal to 6. So we have our k is equal to 5 square open brackets 6 plus a close bracket. So 5 square is going to give us 25. So we have it as 25. Sorry, k is equal to 25 open bracket 6 plus a close bracket. So we're going to call this our equation 1. That is, our k is equal to 25 open bracket 6 plus a to be our equation 1. Now let's go back to the second statement. We say that y is equal to 10 when s is equal to 0. So from this relation here, we have it as 10 square is equal to, we have it as k is equal to 10 square bracket, our x here is equal to what? 0 plus a. Now 0 plus a is going to give us a, so our k is equal to 10 square is going to give us 100. So we have 100 open bracket a. So let's call this our equation 2. Now what are we going to do? We're going to solve equation 1 and equation 2 simultaneously. Better still, we're going to equate equation 1 and equation 2 together. So we have our equation 1 will now be 100a. Our equation 2 will now be 100a is equal to 25 open bracket 6 plus a. What I'm going to do here, we're going to first open this bracket here. So we have it as 100a is equal to 25 times 6 is going to, now we either we open the bracket in that form or we divide both sides by 25. So we have it as 25 6 plus a all over 25 all over 25. 25 cancel 25 here, so we have 25 here 1, 25 in 100 4. So we have it as 4a is equal to 6 plus a. So what are we going to do here? We're going to collect items. So we have it as 4a minus a is equal to what? Is equal to 6. 4a minus a is going to give us 3a. So we have it as 3a is equal to 6. What are we going to do here? We're going to divide both sides by 3. We're going to divide both sides by 3 to get the value of our a. Therefore, our a is equal to 6 divided by 3 is going to give us what? 2. Therefore, we know that our a now becomes 2. So that is the value of a when y is equal to 5 and s is equal to 6, and when y is equal to 10, s is equal to 0. That means the equation is solved, which is a is equal to 2. Now let's go to the b part of the question. Let me clean this part. Please, if you have any question on variation, you can write to us at ionisacademy@gmail.com. Now, the B part of the question says we should find the relation between x and a. Now, from this our relation here, let's make some our relation here. Since we know that our a is equal to 2, from question a, therefore the relation between x and y can be gotten from this equation. Therefore, we know that our y square is equal to k all over x plus what? 2. But before we do that, we're going to find the value of our k. How do we find the value of our k? Now let's go to equation 1. Since we know the value of our a, let's go to equation 1. Our equation 1 says that our k is equal to 25 open bracket 6 plus a close bracket. So we know that our k will now be equal to 25 6 plus what? 2. 6 plus 2 is going to give us 8. So we have it as our k is equal to 25 times 8. Now, what is 25 times 8? Our 25 times 8 is going to give us 200. So we have our k to be equal to what? 200. Now, if I have gotten the value of our k to be 200, we can find the relation between x and y. Now, the relation between x and y will now be equal to y squared is equal to our k is what? 200 all over our x now. X plus what? 2. Therefore, this is the relation between x and y, which solves the b part of the question. Now, let's go to the c part of the question. Let me clean here up. Let's go to the c part of the question. Now, in the c part of the question says that we should find the value of x when y is equal to 4. Now, from this our relation here, the value of x when y is equal to 4. Now we're going to substitute y is equal to 4 in this equation. So we have it as 4 squared. 4 squared is equal to 200 all over x plus 2. Now we have it as 4 squared is going to give us 16. So we have 16 all over 1 is equal to 200 all over x plus what? 2. What are we going to do? We're going to cross multiply both sides. So we have 16 open bracket x plus 2 is equal to 200. So what are we going to do? We're going to do here, we're going to open this bracket. So we have it as 16 times x will give us what? 16x. 16x, 16 times 2 plus 32 is equal to 200. Now what we are going to do here is that we have it as 16x is equal to 200 minus 32. 200 minus 32 is going to give us 168. So we have it as 16x is equal to 168. 168. So what are we going to do here? We're going to divide both sides by 16. So if we divide both sides by 16, we have it as all over 16. All over 16. 16 cancels 16. Our x will now be equal to 168 all over 16. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to divide both sides by 4. No, let me see what can divide both sides. We're going to divide both sides by 8. 8 in 16 will give you 2. 8 in 168 should give us 21. Yeah. So we have our x is equal to 21 over 2. So that is the value of x when y is equal to 4. Now let's go to example 7. Example 7 says that a job can be completed in 12 months by 58 workers. Full stop. If the same job has to be completed in 8 months, how many workers should be added? Now, what they ask us to do, this question is inverse variation question. First of all, we have to express ourselves mathematically. Now, but we need to find the number of workers to be added. Now, let's say let our x be the number of x, be the number of workers to be added. Let x so from the question now, we can represent the 12 months to be m. Let's present m to be months and w to be workers. So we have from the question now, actually the month is the time. Now we know that our time is constant here, so we can say that our month, our m, varies inversely as our w. So we have our time, which is constant, to be t. So from the question, from this relation, we have it that our m can be equal to t over w. Now, what are we going to do now? We have our t is equal to mw, our equation 1. Now, from the same equation, we know that our T here now is going to be T is equal to 12 months, which is 12, times our number of workers, which is what? 58. Now, what are we going to have? If we have 12 times 58, it's going to give us what? It's going to give us 696. So we have our T is equal to what? 696. Let's call this same is let's call this equation 1 too. So equation 1, let's go to the equation 2 part of the question. Now we know that they say that if the same job has to be completed by in 8 months, how many workers should be added? Now in this question now, we're going to look for the number of workers to be added. So our this equation now can be written as with respect to the numbers of workers to be added. So we have it as our m is equal to T all over W plus what? X. We have it as what? T is equal to W over X. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to make T the sort of formula. So if we make T the sort of formula, we have our T to be equal to M open bracket W plus what? X. X is the number of workers to be added. Therefore, we have it as our T is equal to our M from the question is what? 8. 8 close brackets. We have number of workers. We have it, which is 58. That is the existing workers, which is 58, plus the number of workers to be added, which is what? X. So close brackets. Now let's call this equation what? 2. Now let's solve equation 2 and equation 1. Let's equate equation 2 and equation 1. So if we are to equate equation 2 and equation 1, what are we going to have? Let me clean this part of the board. What are we going to have? We are going to be having our T, which our equation 1 says that T is equal to 696. So we have it as 696 is equal to our equation 2 says T is equal to 8 open bracket 58 plus X. So we have it as open bracket 8 open bracket 58 plus what? Plus X. Now we're going to look for our X. What are we going to do? We're going to open this bracket. So we have it as 696 is equal to 58 times 8 is going to give us 464. So we have it as 464. 8 times X is going to give us 8x. So we have it as 8x. So what I'm going to do, we're going to simplify this. So we're going to solve this. We have it as 696 minus 464, which will give us our 8x. So 696 minus 464 is going to give us 232. So we have it as 232 is equal to what? It's what? X. Now what are we going to do? We're going to divide both sides by what? 8 to find the value of our what? X. 8 cancels 8. 8 here 1. 8 in 232 is going to give us 29. So we have it as our X is equal to what? 29. So 29 is the number of workers that will be added to 58 workers to complete the job in 8 months. Now let's go to example 8. But I will leave example 8 for you to solve it. Our example 8 is similar to example 7, which says that if P takes 5 days to complete a task when he works for 10 hours a day, how many days he will take to complete the task if he works for 5 hours a day? Now the answer to the question is 10 days. Is what? 10 days. So I believe you should make use of the knowledge you have gotten from example 7 to solve example 8. Thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell so that whenever we upload a new video, you'll be the first person to get the notification. And if you have any further question concerning variation, please do well to write to us at ionicsacademy@gmail.com. Thank you.